Hey guys, so today I'm continuing on the One Night in Karazhan card review. Previously I've covered most of the cards in the classes, and now we are going on to neutral cards, starting off with the legendaries. So first off, there is Barnes. It's a 4 mana 3/4, same stat line as like in Uderman. Summon a 1/1 copy of a random minion in your deck. I think this really is a very powerful effect because firstly it's not a draw, it is like a copy. It summons a copy, so when you summon that copy, you can still draw it as well. And this to me is very powerful, especially in those decks where you run Death Rattle such as Nazov. So yeah, for example, Nazov Paladin, you can pull out powerful stuff such as you can get like Sylvanas, you can get Tyrion, you can get Kain, you can get Ragnaros, both Ragnaros. At worst, you even get like a Loot Hoarder or Acolyte of Pain, which is still very good. So yeah, Barnes is actually really good in some decks, but in other decks it's really shit. Like even in Ram Druid, where you play all the big minions, it's really bad because like if you get like a North Sea Kraken, for example, it's a 1/1 North Sea Kraken, which is basically the same as like a 1/1 Murloc Tiny Fin. So yeah, moving on is the Curator. Curator is a really fun card, I think. It might need some experimenting. Basically, it's a 7 mana 4/6 taunt, Battlecry, draw a Beast, Dragon, and Murloc from your deck. I think this card is really it's a really good card, but you need to build a deck around it, which might be tough because it is restricting a lot in your deck. And also, like the beast normally would be Kodo, then the dragon would be Azure Drake and Murlocs. Maybe you would run this in anything decks, but I'm not too sure. And maybe in Druid decks where you play Beast Druid or something. I'm not so sure. And then the Murloc could be a Finley or a Corrupted Seer. Moving on to Moros. I think Moros is the worst of the legendaries. Moros is a 3 mana 1/1 stealth. And at the end of the turn, summon a 1/1 steward. I think this is really bad because it's really slow paced. Like when you play, it's a 3 mana 2/1/1s, which is really slow. And even though it can be played, if this survives, it can give like infinite value over time. But I don't see this really good because AOE just kills it. Anything kills it. It might have synergies with Steward of Darkshire, but I don't think that really helps in its case because it gets killed by things like Swipe, Fan of Knives, Ravaging Ghoul, Consecration, Flame Strike, blah blah blah. So next is Prince Malkazar. This is one of a it's an interesting card, I guess. It's a 5 mana 5/6. At the start of your turn of your game, shuffle 5 extra legendary minions into your deck. These legendary minions will not be duplicates, and it can only be neutral or the class that you're playing at. So I mean, the stats are really good. 5 mana for 5/6 is good. But the legendaries you can get is quite shit, and yeah, but it doesn't mess up Reno decks, so it might be good maybe in Reno decks or in like control fatigue decks that want to last longer. So essentially, you have 35 cards in your deck if you play this. Moving on is Medivh the Guardian. Is 8 mana 7/7 Battlecry, equip attach Great Staff of the Guardian, which is this bad boy. It's 8 mana 7/7, so it's something like a Ronin stat line, which is not too bad, I guess. But Atiash is a really good weapon. It's basically like a summoning stone, except on a weapon. You are definitely not going to want to attack with it because this gives off a lot of value. So is after you cast a spell, summon a random minion of that cost and lose 1 durability. This is the first neutral weapon, just saying. You can combo this with many things. Better ones are at 8 mana and 4 mana. So mind that. But I think this is a pretty good card and might be used in decks such as token druid or casino mage. Moving on to the only neutral epic, it's Arcane Giant. It's a 12 mana 8/8, cost 1 less for each spell you have cast this game. I think this would be pretty powerful in stuff in decks such as York decks where you have to play a lot of spells. So this like if you continue playing spells, it could be like it could be like a 5 mana 8/8 or something at turn 5 or something. So it is pretty good. It's pretty powerful, and it might see play in these spell orientated decks. Moving on to the 3 rares before I move on to the 9 commons. Bookworm. It is 6 mana 3/6. Battlecry, if you're holding a dragon, destroy an enemy minion with 3 attack or less. I think this is a pretty good card. I feel that this is better than Stampeding Kodo, and because firstly you can choose the enemy, and secondly, it's 3 attack or less instead of 2 attack or less. And now in the meta, 3 attack minions are pretty common, so that is useful. And it's a dragon which has synergies. The stat line is not that great, but you see like Kodo's stat isn't that great either, so you can count that off, and it has a dragon tag as well. Next is Avian Watcher. It's 5 mana 3/6. If you control a secret, gain +1/+1 and taunt. So if you control a secret, when it gets played, it's essentially a 5 mana 4/7 with taunt, and that is pretty good. I guess it's not fabulous, but it is not bad. If I don't really think this will see play, really maybe in mages. I don't think it will be played in paladin or hunter because they don't really run spells. Maybe hunter they do, but who knows. Next is Moat Lurker, 6 mana 3/3. Destroy a minion, resummon it, the minion that died. I think this is very situational because one, I'm not so sure if you like, for example, if it's like a faceless behemoth and it's like a 10/1 and you destroy it, will it resummon a 10/1 or a 10/10? I'm not so sure. But this, I think, is very situational because it might cause you maybe to get lethal by destroying a taunt or something, or maybe destroying a Ragnaros Light Lord, which helps your enemy heal. But overall, I think this is a pretty bad card because firstly, the stats are absolutely wank, and secondly, the destroying and resummoning isn't really gonna work for most situations. And moving on to the neutral commons. First up is Pompous Thespian, 2 mana 3/2. I think this is a pretty bad card. I not as in it's a pretty bad card, but why would you want to make an expansion that has this card? I mean, it's just a very ordinary vanilla card. It's nothing special or whatever. It takes up your space. Like people will be disappointed that one of the 45 cards you're adding into adventure is this card. So it's not never gonna see play. Purely because there are other things to play, and especially in constructor, maybe in arena this might be picked. Moving on to Zubot, it's a 3 mana 3/3. It's decent stat line. Give a random friendly beast, dragon, and murloc +1/+1. I'm pretty sure these beast, dragon, and murloc must be on the board. So I think this is a pretty weak card, but if it can actually buff these people, buff the beast, dragon, and murlocs, it might actually be good. I still think Curator is a better one, a better card because you can draw them, and this is very situational because you might not have the beast, dragon, and murlocs in your board. Moving on to Netherspike Historian, is a 2 mana 1/3. If you are holding a dragon, discover a dragon. I think this is a pretty good card because discovering a 2 mana 1/3 is a pretty bad stat line, but then still you can do something with it, and discovering a dragon, discovering is always good, and especially it's discover, not like random, which yeah, so I think this will be playable in dragon decks. Moving on to Arcane Anomaly, 1 mana 2/1. Whenever you cast a spell, give this minion +1 health. I think this might get play. And it might be a pretty strong turn 1 minion because whenever it casts a spell, give this minion +1 health. Maybe in spell orientated decks or something, it might see play. Next is Pantry Spider, 3 mana 1/3. Summon a 1/1 spider. It's a beast, so essentially it's a 2/4 for 3 mana, which I think is quite weak, especially when it has 2 bodies. I think it's still quite weak, so I don't think this will get any play. Mana Green Magician, 5 mana 4/4, give a random friendly beast, dragon, and murloc +2/+2. This is basically the same thing as a Zubat, but I think that both cards are pretty bad, and I don't think anyone will actually build a deck that contains beasts, dragons, and murlocs. But if that is so, and if you actually have like a beast, dragon, and murloc on board, this might be actually really powerful because a +2/+2 is a really big benefit. Next is Runic Egg, one of the most useless cards ever. 1 mana 0 to death rattle, draw a card. Why wouldn't you play a Loot Hoarder instead? No use for this thing. I guess you could like use Sun Fury Protector or like some Argus things to do like Ancient Watcher, but this is essentially a dead card as well. Next is Arcanosmith, 4 mana 3/2, summon a 0/5 minion with Taunt. This might see play in maybe more control decks, but it's a really weak card. 4 mana 3/2 is a really weak card, and a 0/5 is essentially like an Ancient Shield Barrel, so it's 1 mana, and a 3/2 is a 2 mana, so it is a 3 mana minion sort of, and it costs 4 mana, so I really don't see the value in this card. And lastly, we have Violet Illusionist. It's a 3 mana 4/3. During your turn, your hero is immune. This might actually be good like in weapon orientated decks such as Rook and Warrior, because like there's a card called Gladiator Longbow, so this is essentially a Gladiator Longbow. Yeah, this would probably I don't really, I think the animated armor would still be better than this card because it is every single turn, but this is also sort of like a pseudo taunt, as in like people would have to kill it if they want to win the game. So I'm not it might see some play, but I'm not too sure. So overall, I think this expansion brings us some pretty good cards and some pretty shit cards. It gives us more drag. I think it is encouraging more dragon and beast decks. And this really really weird beast, dragon, and murloc deck. And Max also, I have no idea. It looks like a fun one, and I'm looking forward to play these wings and getting all these cards. So yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'll see you guys next time. Peace.